Golf has heard plenty of loud claims during the PGA Tour's fight to reshape its future, but this one hits differently because it involves the man whose name still carries more weight than almost anyone alive in the sport. The headline racing around is PGA Tour in shock. Jack Nicklaus retaliates with course access boycott over Cognizant Snub. That sounds like open warfare. The confirmed story is more complicated and in some ways more serious. Jack Nicklaus has publicly challenged the tour's scheduling direction, singled out the Cognizant Classic as an event being squeezed by bigger tournaments, and warned that the problem will grow if leadership does not fix it. What has not been confirmed is any official Nicklaus course access boycott. That distinction matters because the real pressure point is not a locked gate. It is the possibility that one of golf's most powerful legacy figures is losing patience with the system he helped build. If you follow golf because the history, the politics, and the people behind the scorecards matter, subscribe right now and tell us this in the comments. If the PGA Tour keeps pushing historic events into weak schedule positions, should legends like Nicklaus publicly fight back, or should they stay out of modern tour business? The tension did not begin with a boycott threat. It began with a schedule. During the 2026 season, the Cognizant Classic sat in a brutal part of the calendar. The tournament came after a run featuring major attention around Pebble Beach and the Genesis Invitational, and it was followed by the Arnold Palmer Invitational and the Players' Championship. Those nearby events carried bigger purses, stronger fields, more television attention, or all three. The result was obvious before the first tee shot. A standard event was being asked to survive in a neighborhood filled with giants. Nicklaus did not hide his frustration. Ahead of the Memorial Tournament in June 2026, he said he was not exactly in favor of what the tour was doing with its schedule. He explained that too many big tournaments were being packed too close together. Then he pointed directly at Cognizant. His question was simple. What chance does that tournament have when it sits between so many major stops? That was not a random complaint from a retired star searching for attention. Nicklaus has a direct connection to the event and to golf in South Florida. The Cognizant Classic is played at PGA Nationals Champion Course in Palm Beach Gardens, a course he helped reshape, and a venue tied closely to his family's charitable work. The Nicklaus Children's Healthcare Foundation is the tournament's main beneficiary. The event is therefore not just another logo on the calendar for the Golden Bear. It touches community, charity, history, and the local golf identity that his family has spent decades building. That is why the word snub has become so powerful around this story. Nobody needs the PGA Tour to issue a press release saying, "We are snubbing Cognizant." Scheduling sends its own message. Put one event between richer tournaments with stronger fields and higher status. And players have to make choices. Elite golfers do not have unlimited energy. They plan around majors, signature events, playoff points, travel, recovery, and courses that fit their games. A tournament can be respected and still lose the battle for stars. Nicklaus understood that immediately because he lived the player side of the sport long before he became a host, designer, businessman, and elder statesman. He said players need time to recharge. In his own career, he could handle a couple of weeks in a row, sometimes 3, but eventually he needed a break. His warning was not only about Cognizant, it was about what happens when the tour creates a schedule that forces top players to choose which good tournaments they are willing to skip. But here's the detail that changes the tone of the entire story. Nicklaus was not calling for the PGA Tour to destroy its new model. He was warning that the model risks creating winners and losers before tournaments even begin. That is where this gets uncomfortable for tour leadership. The PGA Tour has been trying to make its product easier to follow. Bigger events, stronger fields, more top players together, clearer television windows. Those goals make business sense. Fans want to see stars competing against stars. Sponsors paying huge money want meaningful fields. Networks want Sundays that feel important. The problem comes when more important events quietly make other tournaments feel less important. Cognizant is a perfect test case because it is not a weak event with no history and no local support. The tournament has roots going back more than 5 decades. Its lineage includes wins by Nicklaus himself, major champions, Ryder Cup players, and generations of tour professionals. PGA Nationals Champion Course is also one of the most recognizable tests on the Florida swing, especially because of the bear trap, the famous stretch from holes 15 through 17. The 2026 edition also proved that the tournament could still deliver real golf drama. Nico Echevarria won at 17 under par after a bogey-free weekend, earning his third PGA Tour victory. The purse was $9.6 million, a serious amount of money by any normal standard. Yet that total still sat far below the $20 million purses attached to signature events around it. That gap matters. Now consider the part that made Boycott talk so easy to believe. Nicklaus is not just another former champion giving an opinion from the sidelines. His fingerprints are all over modern golf course architecture. He has been involved in hundreds of course projects around the world. The Memorial Tournament, one of the PGA Tour's premier events, is played at Muirfield Village Golf Club, the course he created in Ohio. His name still opens doors in golf business circles that most players never enter. So when a figure with that kind of influence criticizes the tour, fans naturally ask what happens if words stop being enough. Could course access become leverage? In theory, access to a privately controlled tournament venue can become part of a business dispute. Golf events depend on contracts, host organizations, sponsors, local partners, and course agreements. But theory is not evidence. There is no credible confirmation that Nicklaus has announced a plan to block the PGA Tour from Nicklaus-connected courses, cancel the Memorial, or organize a broader venue boycott. That is the line that cannot be crossed. Calling his public criticism retaliation is one thing. Claiming he has already launched a course access boycott is another. The first is a fair description of an escalating public disagreement. The second needs proof, and right now that proof is missing. Current reporting documents his scheduled criticism and desire to speak with tour leadership, while the Memorial and Cognizant remain part of the tour structure. Oddly, the facts make the story interesting. Nicklaus's real weapon may be more powerful than shutting a gate. It is legitimacy. The PGA Tour is trying to rebuild confidence after years of disruption from LEV golf, player movement, lawsuits, negotiations, changing leadership, and constant arguments about money. Every major decision is now judged through one question. Is this making the sport stronger or just making the biggest events richer? He is not arguing that every tournament deserves the same purse. He is not claiming every field should contain Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and every other star. His point is that a tour cannot celebrate tradition while designing a calendar that makes traditional events almost impossible to protect. The Cognizant Classic shows how that can happen. The event survives. It has a sponsor. It has a venue. It has community support. It has charity ties. It has a recognizable course. It even has a confirmed return in 2027. Yet its future beyond that remains part of a much larger schedule conversation. The PGA Tour has already reshuffled Florida for 2027. The Cadillac Championship moves into early March at Doral, followed by the Players' Championship, then the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Cognizant remains before that run. The Tour is also working toward a larger competitive overhaul for 2028, with stronger separation between top-tier events and the rest of the schedule. That is exactly the kind of system Nicklaus fears could leave important tournaments trapped outside the spotlight. There is a counter-argument, and it deserves to be taken seriously. The Tour cannot protect every event equally. Professional golf has too many tournaments competing for too few truly elite players. The season stretches across different markets, sponsors, television partners, major championships, and international events. If the Tour tries to keep everyone happy, it risks creating a calendar with no clear peaks. Fans then tune in less often because every week feels similar. Brian Rolapp's challenge is to build a product that has shape. That requires hard choices. Some tournaments will gain status, others will lose prime dates. Some sponsors will get stronger fields, others will have to sell local identity, course quality, opportunity, or tradition. That is normal in almost every major sport. From that view, Nicklaus's complaint is understandable, but not decisive. The tour's job is not to protect every event connected to a legend. Its job is to make the full season stronger. But Cognizant exposes the danger inside that logic. If the calendar repeatedly pushes standard events into weak positions, those tournaments lose star power. When star power falls, television attention can fall. Sponsorship value becomes harder to defend. Charity impact can come under pressure. Eventually, the tour may look at the weakened event and say the numbers no longer justify its place. That creates a vicious circle. The tour makes the event harder to succeed. The event struggles. Then the struggle becomes the reason to cut it. That is the future Nicklaus is warning about, even if he never used those exact words. The irony is sharp because the PGA Tour has spent years telling fans that legacy matters. Historic courses matter, community matters, charity matters, tournament identity matters. Those ideas are part of the tour's argument for why its model is different from a simple collection of giant money exhibitions. This is where Jack Nicklaus becomes more than a critic. Those questions are bigger than Cognizant. They reach events in Detroit, Texas, the Midwest, and every market that depends on one PGA Tour week to justify sponsorship, hospitality, charity programs, and local investment. The Rocket Classic is already ending after 2026 because its title sponsor is not renewing for 2027. That situation is different from Cognizant, but it shows how quickly a tour stop can disappear when the business foundation changes. The tour knows this. That brings us back to the course access boycott claim. The temptation is to imagine Nicklaus slamming the clubhouse door and telling the tour it can no longer use courses connected to him. That would be cinematic. It would also be easy to understand. One legend, one threat, one dramatic showdown. Real golf politics rarely works that cleanly. Nicklaus does not need a dramatic boycott to create pressure. Every time he questions the schedule, reporters ask tour leaders to respond. Every time he uses Cognizant as an example, the tournament's problem becomes part of the national golf conversation. Every time the memorial arrives, Nicklaus has a platform in front of the same sport he is criticizing. That is influence, and unlike a boycott, it does not require him to burn the bridge. Remember what Nicklaus said earlier in 2026? During the Cognizant Classic, he expressed confidence that the tournament was not going away. He described it as a community event with strong support. That does not sound like a man preparing to destroy his relationship with the tour. It sounds like someone who wants the tour to protect an event he believes still has value. A few months later, his language became tougher when he discussed the broader schedule. That progression matters. First came concern, then came a public warning. The next step does not have to be war. It could be negotiation. Nicklaus said he wanted to sit down with Tour CEO Brian Rolapp and outgoing Commissioner Jay Monahan. That is probably the most important fact in this entire controversy. When someone is still asking for a conversation, the door is open. The question is what happens if the conversation changes nothing. That is where the stakes rise. Muirfield Village is one of the crown jewels of the tour schedule. The memorial is a signature event with a $20 million purse and a powerful identity built around Nicklaus. No credible evidence suggests that event is being pulled or used as a bargaining chip. Still, its existence proves how deeply Nicklaus and the PGA Tour remain tied together. The 2027 calendar gives Cognizant another year at PGA National. That buys time. It does not answer the long-term question. The bigger test comes with the Tour's 2028 structure. If Cognizant finds a protected role, better spacing, stronger field pathways, or a clearer identity, Nicklaus may look back at this period as the moment the tour finally listened. If the tournament is pushed further toward the edge, then his June warning will look much more important. That is why fans should watch what the tour does, not just what it says. A schedule is policy written in dates. A purse is status written in dollars. A field is status written in names. And a legend speaking publicly is pressure written in plain English. So, no, there is no confirmed Jack Nicklaus course access boycott over the Cognizant Classic. There is something real underneath the dramatic headline, though. One of the most important figures in golf history has told the PGA Tour that its direction risks hurting tournaments like Cognizant. He has questioned the crowded structure. He has pointed to player fatigue. He has asked how a standard event is supposed to compete when it is surrounded by richer, higher status weeks. The tour now has to answer that problem, not with a slogan, with a schedule that works. Because if historic community events become permanent second-class stops, the PGA Tour will eventually have to explain what its famous traditions are worth when they stand in the way of a cleaner television product. Jack Nicklaus has not locked the gates. He has done something more useful. He has forced golf to look at who gets through them. Now the debate belongs to the fans. Should the PGA Tour redesign its future around fewer, stronger events, even if historic tournaments lose ground, or should it protect events like Cognizant with better dates and stronger incentives for top players? Drop Jack in the comments if you think Nicklaus is right to push back. If you think the tour has to make tough cuts to build a stronger product, tell us why. And if you want golf stories that go beyond the leaderboard into the money, politics, schedules, and power moves shaping the sport, subscribe right now. The next fight over the PGA Tour's new structure may not begin with a boycott. It may begin with one tournament realizing the new system has no room left for it.